some Tesla, whatever other company. It's basically products you find out there in your brokerage app. And what they do is, let's say you take those 3,000 euro that Gladys also invested, and it spreads it between those investments. Usually it's based on the size of the company. So the bigger companies get a bit more, but it basically spreads it. So you don't need to choose one winning horse. You can just say, I want to bet on one industry. We have one example here, the S&P 500, Standard & Poor's. That's a company that basically created this index, Standard & Poor's 500, the 500 biggest companies of the United States. So this fund tracks that. So if you invest in there and looking at it historically over the past centuries, there's an average return of 7%. It's not linear. Sometimes it goes up. One year you have 20%. Maybe some other years you have minus 3%. But in average, it makes 7%. And nowadays, this is very much standardized. It's called actually ETF, exchange trade funds. So with a set rules, computer basically tracks the performance of those companies. And let's say one of those 500 companies goes broke tomorrow. Automatically, they take it out. And the next one, the 500 first one, moves into this one. So that's how it works. That's an easy access how you can put your money to work for you. You invest in it and it spreads it out. And we will learn more why spreading risk is very important. And also, just to give you an example as well, it's very cost effective. You create an account, you buy it, and it has a very low margin of cost per year. It's 0.2% usually of the invested money that you pay per year just to maintain that. And that's something you should think about because an ETF is actually the new savings account. What our parents did when you put money to the bank is actually nowadays what you can do with an ETF. Because you discount the 3% of inflation and you have the 7% return. So actually you still make 4%. So your money is growing, it's not burning away. So that's your first step to think about how you can make your money work. And why is this happening? Well, something, let's say, magical happens. It's called compound interest. Key concept that you should have in mind, interés compuesto in Spanish. It's like planting a tree. You plant the seed, you put the money, you wait. Of course, you put some water. In your case, you don't have to do much. You can watch it if you want every day or even less, and just wait. And then once this tree grows, once it gets more money, at the end of the year, let's say you had a 20% return. Now you have the 3,000 euro plus this 20% on top. What happens? The system basically reinvests this for you, plants the next tree. And this starts to grow as well. This is the so-called snowball effect. Like when you know it, snowball, you let it run down the hill and it actually turns into more money. That's the only slide we will show you where you have some money because it's very important. So you can really see it and get it, what it does. Let's look at it because our mind sometimes cannot grasp it, how it works. We have an investment of 10,000 euro. Let's say 7% interest in average. After 1 year, you have 10,700 euro. But let's think about, I want to double my 10,000 euro. How long do I have to wait? You can see it here, 10 years. That's nearly almost a double, 19,671. And now you take a step ahead and you're really smart. You decide, instead of spending 100 euro each month on the next gin tonics or buying something on Amazon or Shein, let's just invest every month additional 100 euro into this ETF. You can do this for your brokerage app, usually with an ETF savings plan. So you have 10,100 each month. So you will not realize how this sums up. But after 10 years, you actually have already 36,879. And if you have more capacity, if you have more money that you want to invest, you can also play this calculation here. We've done it for you with 30,000, after years, 32,000, after 10 years, 60,000 nearly. And if you have 30,000 plus 300 each month, this turns into 110,000 after 10 years. Very important. If you think about, let's say, one of your financial goals is to get an apartment. maybe you wait some years and really do first some investments so you can reach there. Because that's the underlying plan you have to make for yourself. And I will reiterate it again. It's your life, it's your ownership of your financial decisions. Because you have to really sit down and think, what's your
Let
goal?
me just say something because the other day I heard someone saying an analogy and I loved it. Nowadays, we are used to have the results immediately in everything. And we need to learn, like, I don't know if you have any friend who has a garden or like a farm or they grow trees or like or tomatoes, like like a friend that has like a huerto with tomatoes. Like, does the tomatoes grow in 1, 2 weeks? Like, you have to wait. So you have to think about this as a long-term strategy. If you are thinking about making quick money, that like quick and easy money, everyone knows that like legally doesn't exist legally. All those people that they tell you like be rich in 2 days, make a lot of money in 1 month, copy my stock strategies, and they have this gold watch with a Lamborghini. All of this is bullshit. What we are teaching you here is taking responsibility of your knowledge, because as far as the government or the institutions are not giving us this information because it's not interesting for them. So now we have the chance to understand how everything works, and everyone can take their own decisions. All of this that we are teaching you now today is the very first steps in finance and investment, sorry. And it's thought about people who wants to do it like the title said, no risk, or like low risk and long term. So this compound interest, it doesn't work. You cannot go and plant the tomatoes and thinking about the tomatoes will grow, you know. And of course, when you plant things, sometimes go well and sometimes go wrong because there is no life without risk. You don't change job without risk. You don't get married without risk. You don't have kids without risk. It's always no risk. You cannot gain anything with no risk. You just have to calculate the risk in your life. But also, not doing anything is a risk, is a very high risk.